reconnect, live, laugh, and love. Connections, dreams, getaway experiences. Brave Heart Workshops. Unique getaways live with Jill Reynolds.
The Connection Show. Restore, renew, and reconnect with others. Sponsored by Brave Heart Workshops live with Jill Reynolds. And my guest today is Sabrina Smith. Hi, Sabrina. How are you today?
I am doing well, Jill. How are you?
I'm wonderful. You look absolutely beautiful.
I'm just going to say thank you. I can't wait till they open up the salons.
Oh, yes. I get to go this week, believe it or not, and I cannot wait. I'm getting my pedicure and my hair done.
Oh, my goodness. I'm telling you, she's going to get a really big tip when I go back, I tell you.
Yes. Well, I'd like to share with the audience your bio a little bit so people know who you are, that can enjoy what you do and stuff. So Sabrina Smith is the founder and CEO of Progeny1. Did I say that right? Progeny?
You did.
Progeny1, which is a leadership development and training company. She brings over 22 years of leadership training and facilitation experience into the classroom. She has the real world knowledge, skills, and aptitude to evaluate the needs of her teams and helps them grow through focused leadership interventions. Her experiences and her education in organizational leadership have helped her grow the next generation of leaders at organizations she's worked for. Sabrina is a corporate trainer, a workshop leader, and a keynote speaker. She's a graduate of Lewis University in Romeoville and resides in Bolingbrook, Illinois, where she's also a member of their area Chamber of Commerce. She enjoys watching classic movies, writing, and spending time with family and friends, which I bet she can't wait to do again. So
Yes.
what an amazing bio of leadership and entrepreneurship and helping others, Sabrina. So if you wouldn't mind, share a little bit about that with us and what your company is and a little bit of what you're doing right now. That would be amazing to share with the audience.
Well, thank you so much for that, Jill. So first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. And I'm really excited about this opportunity I have to spend with you this afternoon. So, Progeny1 was birthed out of a desire to really step out on one of my biggest dreams, which was to have an impact on the lives of people as an entrepreneur by opening up a learning and development company. And so with many, many years of learning and training and leadership at really large Fortune 500 organizations, my passion was to take that next step and leap of faith so that I could lead people with the experiences, with the learning, with best practices that would help leaders at various levels learn how to really authentically lead in a way that they could not only feel a sense of pride about what they do, but also make a difference in the lives of the people that they lead. So I started Progeny1 back in 2016, and I'm still going strong. So personal things about myself is I am pretty family oriented. So yeah, if it wasn't for things like Zoom, I don't know what I'd do. Family and friends, they mean a lot to me. Yeah.
And how did you come up with the name Progeny? What is the meaning behind that, and how did that resonate with you to create that name for your company?
So, Jill, I'm glad you asked that question, and I'm going to be very transparent. So I hope that that's okay. Mm-hmm. So actually, I was one day in my kitchen, and I really wasn't thinking about at that time starting the company. It was about a book. And so I am an aspiring writer. I do write poetry and things on the side. I'll talk more about that. But one of the things that I was sitting at the table doing is thinking really hard and praying, honestly, saying, God, what is going to be the name of this book? I knew that I wanted to transform the lives of people, to be a partner in their journey on growth and development. So I literally sat at the table and I just sort of meditated and was asking God for guidance. And honestly, Jill, and this is a true story, these words started coming out of my mouth. They weren't even that clear. And eventually I said this word progeny, and I'm like, what the heck? progeny. I'd never heard of that word. I've heard of protege. And so I thought, that's a name. Let me look it up. And literally, and this is truly, it's a true story. I looked up the word progeny, and the word has an etymology that means to become. And so I knew that that really was God's name for my book. Of course, later on, as I started to transition into other things in my life, I thought, that's the name for my business too. It's the name I'm supposed to keep. That name aligns with my passion. So that's my true story.
So the number one is to become one.
You know what? That wasn't, well, thank you for saying that. Really, progeny itself was taken. So I had to use the one so that I could have rights to it.
Oh, that was not accidental. To become one. To become one in him and with the universe.
Yeah, I guess I really didn't realize, even until this moment that you said that one really did have a larger role in it than just the word progeny being taken by other business owners. Thank you for that. You really just helped me to have a true revelation. That one piece is holistic.
Well,
so, yeah.
my spiritual gifts is wisdom, knowledge, and discernment. So I'm getting goosebumps as we speak, because the Holy Spirit does move through me with that, and I definitely feel like he leads with me and shares with me why I'm supposed to connect with people in the world. And so when you were saying progeny meant to become, inside of me, I felt this holiness. And then when I thought of the word one, to become one in him, and it's in, for those who don't believe in God, whatever way that you connect with the universe. But and it's kind of neat because I started Braveheart workshops because for so many years people said to me, and one therapist actually said to me, Jill, if 1/8 of my clients had the resiliency and the bravery and the courage that you have to heal, I would probably be out of business, because you never give up. You have so much perseverance and resiliency. And so when I felt like that God was leading me to help others to heal from burdens and pain in their lives, and I had such an affinity with Brene Brown's TED Talks on authentic self and courage and bravery, it just came to me, Braveheart workshops, just Braveheart workshops. I got to do Braveheart workshops. And so that's kind of
that.
Yeah. So it's amazing how names resonate within our world. So that's an amazing story. I absolutely love it. So with you just having a passion for family and friends in this pandemic of social distancing, can you share with us how, and you mentioned Zoom, but how have you been authentically connecting with others during this time?
So first of all, Zoom has become my best friend. And my family and I have Zoom calls. We actually talk to each other more because of the pandemic than we did before. So we're on Zoom calls. We were supposed to have one yesterday, but I got pretty busy, so I got to set another one up for next week. But we're connecting that way. Of course, the phone call, of course, text messages. One of the processes, or I shouldn't say it's a process, but one of the things that my mother and my sisters and I do is text messages every morning. So that doesn't change. Talking to my grandkids, I keep those connections. From a professional perspective, I also get a chance to connect with people in terms of other groups that I'm a part of. And so we have monthly meetings, sometimes just off course. I might get with a few of those folks, and there's some classes we might take together, so I can keep those connections. And then from a friend, it's just a matter of reaching out, right? I have a friend that we trust each other pretty closely. So, I've gone over her house before, and, we talk. So it's just, I try to make sure that I'm doing what's right in terms of the social distancing and ensuring that we're still not, just disconnecting. You know what I mean? Just because that's important, especially now, I think,
Well, and now that spring is here and the weather's changed, there's no reason, in my opinion, that people can't connect in the backyard and sit on a lawn chair 6 feet apart, and you're not getting each other's germs, and you can just sit and connect. I just actually returned from St. Louis for 2 days because I just had enough of not seeing my grandkids. It's only a 3 hours away. I'm still in the same state, so I didn't cross state borders. And, they hadn't been around anyone and we hadn't been around anyone, so we knew we were safe. And I just had to go get my hugs because I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. I just said to my husband, he says, well, maybe we should wait a few more weeks. I said, I'm going. I am going. I need my 7 and my 5 and 4-year-old hugs. They, and we do too, the Zooms. My little grandkids know how to do Messenger Kids. So on any given day, they'll call me on Messenger Kids and say, Grandma, can we play some games together? I'm done with my homework. Can we play games together? And we'll just Messenger Kids and play games together. And I need some laughter. I just have to have laughter.
Yeah, I totally get that. We actually celebrated Mother's Day yesterday. My kids surprised me. 2 of my daughters, they live at home with me. And then my son and his wife and my daughter and the grandkids, they all came over. So they surprised me with Mother's Day on yesterday. I was totally surprised. I was prepping for this workshop I'm going to be doing and or webinar. And I'm like, who was that at the door? And they totally shocked me. So I spent a lot of time with them on yesterday. And I'm like you, I do ask questions like, where you been? Are you protecting yourself? But
yeah.
I see my family, and it's a small group. So we weren't above the 10 people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I had a great day yesterday.
Well, it's funny because, again, we stayed at a hotel, my husband and I, for 2 nights in Wood Sam. And so when we saw them on Thursday evening and then we went back to the hotel, my son said, well, are you going to stop by Friday morning before you leave to go drive back to Branson? And I says, well, I guess we will. And he goes, oh, stop by and I'll make you breakfast. I am so glad I did because the grandkids of course, they wake up at 7 in the morning. They made Dad take them to the store and they bought me a balloon and made me cards and bought me a book. Oh. And a yard, stick with like a windmill type of thing. And when I walked in, they were like so excited that they had Mother's Day gifts for me. And I would have broke their hearts if I had just called and said, oh, we decided we're going to just drive home and not stop by, because they were looking forward to that. So.
Yeah, I think it's been a bunch of learning lessons through this pandemic. And yeah. And I think we value little things a whole lot more now, Yeah.
So what are some of your dreams for 2020? Like when you sit back and, I'm sure all of us had different dreams in January and goals. They were totally different. So as we sit here in May, what do you feel like your dreams are for 2020 now?
So a couple of things. One of the dreams I have from a professional perspective is to get out more. And what I mean that is get on the social medias more, do more webinars, give people an opportunity to see my business in another lens. I do a lot of contract work, and I just found that I've missed opportunities to really step out and showcase the giftings that I have from a larger scale. So that's one thing I'm going to be doing more of this year. The other thing is from a personal perspective, although I'm honestly not totally committed to a weight loss plan, I am actively just taking one day at a time, Jill, and just, you know what? I'm starting with 15 minutes of exercise a day. My daughter gets on me about my cravings that I'll have late at night. And I'm like, I don't want to listen to you right now, but I'm really working to not eat after a certain time. So from a health perspective, that physiological, I want to do better there, right? Educationally, I'm going to be going back to school. So I am excited about that again. And I guess, I don't know, I never called myself a lifelong learner, but I do like to learn. So I'll be back in school. So I just, and then I'm sorry, one more thing on a personal level. I do want to spend more time with my grandchildren. Previously, I was on the road quite a bit. And, I need to work in more of that time. So my goal is to get to the place where I can manage my schedule and time, where I don't have to always, be pooped out because I've been on the road so many days and stuck in the airports, and really just have some more just time to just relax with my grandchildren. So that's kind of my goals for the rest of this year.
Well, those are big goals. I really appreciate you being transparent and sharing those with us. And towards the very end, I have some things that I'd love to share with you that pertain to that, but I want to come back to that. So with the next question, I'd love to ask of you. So when the social distancing in the state borders, in the country borders open up again, what getaway experience is something you have a passion about? Do you have a passion about a getaway, and what would that getaway look like? Would it be a retreat? Would it be a workshop? Would it be with family? Would it be with clients? What does that getaway experience look like for you?
Yeah, I've had Paris on my mind for such a long time. I've done a couple islands in Hawaii, and that was great. It was just a lot of water. It's beautiful though. But I have wanted to go to Paris with my family for many, many years. Okay, I'll tell you something. I'll give you a little secret. I'd like to work in Paris for 6 months just so I can come back with an accent. A quirky thing about me. But yeah, I still want to go to Paris amidst all of the things that are going on in our world. That's the getaway place for me.
And if you were able, because you are a workshop leader and a keynote speaker, if you were to create a theme for a getaway experience that would be helpful to others besides a getaway experience with your family, what would that getaway experience look like for you?
Yeah, that would truly be about authentic leadership, starting with leading yourself. I think that when we are in the workplace, there's so many demands on us, and there's so many things we're trying to accomplish, and we're trying to get a set of results. But you know what? There's this part of leadership that we make more transactional than relational. And I think that it's really, especially even now, pandemic, this coronavirus has really opened up a lot of things about the cultures that we build and so forth. And I think it has to start with us as individuals. So if I were doing a workshop overseas, it would be about that authentic self leadership so that they can emerge even more prepared to lead other people. So that would be something that would be on my heart.
Awesome. And where would that be? Where would you like that to be?
Oh, Paris.
Now back to Paris for that workshop.
I mean, if I can get there that way or the other way, I'm going to get there. So.
And if it took longer to do international, where in the United States would that be? If it had to be within the U.S. boundaries for a short, maybe a closer range for you than a longer range, where in the U.S. would you like to see that take place?
I'd say California. In all the states that I've gone to for work, I think California has the best balance of weather for me.
Okay.
And I love the culture there. So I think it'd be Cali.
Awesome. And so other question I'd like to ask you, another one, is if someone told you if Apple or Android or whomever told you had to get rid of all of your apps on your cell phone and you could only keep 2, which are your 2 must-haves?
One would be my text messaging. So my text messaging for sure, because that's another way to connect. And then Google Duo.
Okay. Google Duo.
My granddaughter has made me a fan of that right there. She's 9, and gosh, she's been knowing how to use these services like way before I did. And I worked for a cell phone company. It's crazy. But they're so smart. But that gives me a chance to see your face, so I could use that. I can just tap in really quickly. There's so many people that from my contacts are on there. So it'd be a really great way to stay connected.
Awesome. And lastly, what's one fun fact about Sabrina? You only get one.
I kind of spilled the beans. I love accents, so I tend to speak in accents, and just my kids and I mean, we're adults, but I'll tell you, I'm so silly. I think it's important that we don't lose that part of ourselves that can enjoy life. But if I could, just the accents. I'd really like to, try to have an accent, an authentic one.
Well, that was very lovely.
Thank you.
People think I'm from the East Coast. Go figure. And I'm a Chicago native, original native, but I lived when I'm 66 years old, so I lived in the
I know that.
70 hippie era where I hitchhiked and I ended up in Arizona for a year. I ended up in Portland for a year and San Diego for about 9. And
Hmm.
along the way, I ended up having so many friends from Boston and New York that I think I picked up kind of an East Coast twang. And so sometimes people think, "Oh, are you from New York?" And I'm like, "No, Chicago." So,
Yeah, I heard that when you said Chicago. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you've spent a lot of time with East Coasters.
I do. I don't know why. I just end up having a lot of friends from the East Coast. So,
Yeah,
so that's amazing. So, what I'd like to share at the very end with the audience is a little bit about what the Connection Show is all about. It's about connecting with leaders and people all over the globe. And so, one of the things that I had a vision for, Sabrina, and everyone listening, was that the Connection Show not only would interview leaders so that you can get to know them, but to have an opportunity for those leaders who can fit it in their schedule, if either weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, whatever is on their itinerary that they can do, and connect with us on Monday evenings on Zoom Lives at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, which would be 8 o'clock on the East Coast Eastern. It would be 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time and 5 o'clock Pacific. And so we started last Monday, and we'll continuing this Monday. And with all of the hacking into Zoom right now,
yeah,
we've had to make a decision to invite people through email only invites. So what I'd like to ask of everyone listening, if you're comfortable, and I do not spam people, I promise you, to go onto our website, which is braveheartworkshops.com, and under the contact portion of our website, just click other and put your email address in. And I will send out probably by tomorrow, Sunday and Monday, an email password and link so that you can join us on Monday evenings to connect together and to share together and to uplift each other. And so it'll be a platform for all of us to connect. And where I said I'd like to circle back, my background, so that people know, is I have 38 years of recovery with drugs and alcohol, 28 years of recovery with codependency, and 5 years of recovery with eating disorders. So, Sabrina, when you were sharing about one of your dreams with weight loss, I'd like to just share with the audience that I am an advocate and really believe that it's so imperative in today's society to embrace health at every size. Surely we need to be healthy, but we also need to embrace our body and our body image. And so I think it's so imperative for those of us who struggle sometimes and think that we have to be a specific size to realize that health at every size and embracing it is just so important. And so for those of you who really truly feel like they need to lose weight because of health reasons, I am here to support you. If you feel like you need to lose weight because you feel like you don't look good, then I'm here to support you for emotional support, that you're beautiful in any size of your body. Health is a whole different concept of it, but I, for one, am an advocate and a believer. When I was in treatment, Sabrina, one of the
yeah,
things that I had asked my dietitian is that I asked her, make sure you put me on a food plan where I'm going to lose weight. And she said to me, Jill, if you left treatment after a few months and didn't lose weight, would you feel like the treatment was not a success? And I said, yes. And she said, what if it was a success and you were totally healed from your eating disorder, but your body just wasn't ready yet to release the weight? What would that feel like to you? And I was like, well, that's scary because I want to lose the weight. And she says, then that's what we're going to work on, is that you're going to get to a place that your brain can acknowledge that you're on a healthy, healing food plan, and your body will release the weight when it's ready. Because many times we don't realize that weight can be left on our body because of anxiety and stress. And so
yeah.
it takes time to release that. And then One of the take homes that I can share with the audience, and that might be helpful for you, the one take home that I learned in treatment, that we have a hormone in our brain called leptin. And the purpose of leptin is to give our brains, it gives us signals in our brains of hunger and fullness cues. And so when we are not nutritionally feeding our bodies on a regulated schedule, leptin will turn off. And so you truly have no clue when you're hungry or full. And I'm sharing that with all of us today because when I would, like 8 o'clock at night, I would start to binge on one thing after another, and it not necessarily was a lot of sugar stuff. I might start with a bag of popcorn, and then I might have 2 clementine oranges, and then a yogurt. And my husband would look at me and said, "How could you be eating? You just had dinner. You can't be hungry." And I looked like I wanted to beat him up and say, "How could you tell me I'm not hungry? Of course I'm hungry." Well, the truth was, my leptin was turned off. And I really had no hunger or fullness cue. All I know that I had a lot of emotional pain that was related to some childhood issues of being a latchkey child at night, where I was filled with fear. And so once evening came, I would watch TV to numb out my fear. And so watching TV and numbing out my fear would lead me to want one snack after another and think that I needed that to push down my fear. And so a lot of times we don't understand the food issues are related to emotional pain. And when we have a loved one who doesn't understand our emotional pain and they continually shame us by saying, "Don't eat, don't eat, don't eat," the more we want to eat because our emotional shame then just perpetuates it. So, I just want to love on you, Sabrina, and know that you are beautiful in your body. And I'm here to support you and support anyone else in it because it is the type of a scenario that it's hard to do this stuff alone. And so I really hope people will connect on the connection gathering. And so with that, share back if you'd like, because I commented quite a bit, Sabrina, if you have any feedback on what I shared.
No, I appreciate you saying that. And, when you shared your story, I never revisited this much as an adult, but I remember what it felt like to be home alone sometimes and just being afraid, my sister and I. And, I later talked to my mom about that. It's not that she was working. Sometimes she was just out, when you think about it, she was a young mom in her young 20s or, mid 20s. I have to do the math at this point because we've gotten a little older. But, sometimes she just wanted to go out and my sister and I would be by ourselves some nights. And it really was quite fearful. You hear all these noises and things. And so thank you for sharing that story. And as far as the food is concerned, I had noticed somebody had asked me, "Do you eat because you're stressed?" I'm like, "No, I'm not a stress eater." And then one day I watched myself and I realized that when the pressure was on, I picked up some food. So, thank you for sharing that and just reinforcing the fact that the stress of wanting to lose weight could keep the weight on because you're so stressed out. So, I can relate to facets of that story. Thank you.
Yeah, and really research the leptin, because if the leptin is not turned on, you really will not know when you're hungry or full. And what I didn't understand, I did not understand this whatsoever. But when you do not eat your 3 meals a day within a 4-hour radius, if it goes longer than 4 hours in between meals, and your leptin will turn off because it kind of regulates with your insulin, cortisol, and your hormones. And so when you skip meals, when you don't eat breakfast within 1 hour of rising, and then your lunch should be within 4.5 hours after your breakfast, and then your next meal. And so if your dinner isn't for, say, 6.5 hours, then it's imperative to have a protein and a vegetable or fruit snack in between that next meal. And then if you don't go to bed for several, like where it's an 8-hour time frame, then have another evening snack, again, a protein and a fruit or vegetable. because that will regulate your insulin cortisol, and that will keep your leptin turned on. And so many times people will say, oh, I don't eat until 2 in the afternoon because I'm not hungry. Well, of course you're not hungry. Your leptin isn't working. So you don't know you're not hungry. You have no idea. But your body knows it needs nourishment. So those are some things that I learned which were really, really hard, because my eating disorder was restricting and avoiding meals. And it got so bad that I remember sitting at my desk. I was a director of sales and general manager at hotel properties. And I would sit at my desk sometimes at 2 in the afternoon and have to look in my purse to see if I had a receipt, if I had ordered lunch, because I couldn't remember, because my brain was so malnourished from missing breakfast and lunch that I would forget if I had eaten for the day. And again, it has so much to do with regulating that brain and the hormones. So I know we kind of got off into a weird stuff, but only because you spoke about your dreams that I shared that with others. So what I'd like to do at this point is just put on the screen Sabrina's bio of what she does and how to reach her. It lists her website and her email, and she loves to connect with people. So please reach out to Sabrina for some leadership skills and authentic leadership. So thank you so much for joining us. It's just been a pleasure to meet you and connect with you and have a soul sister from Chicago. I love that.
Jill, thank you too. I appreciate you as well.
You're going to laugh when I say this. I think you'll laugh, but maybe you won't. But my very first roommate, when I left home at 18 years old, I was a wild child. My first roommate was an African-American male probation officer, was a Caucasian white gay man, and this is in the 70s when none of this was talked about. My girlfriend, my roommate, was a Playboy bunny, and then I worked as a Holiday Inn reservationist. So when we had parties, it was great. We had gays and we had blacks and we had Playboy bunnies and rock stars, and it was like crazy. And I used to say to Leon, I says, I think that God made my skin color wrong, because I'm definitely a soul sister.
Yeah, you know what? You probably got a few books in there yourself, Jill.
Yes, I do. But I just wanted to share that with you because like I said, you're my soul sister.
Well, I will accept that with honor. Thank you, soul sister.
Thank you so much. So, signing off from Braveheart Workshops with the Connection Show. And we'll look forward to seeing you Monday night. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.
Let's connect now. We can dream together to renew, restore, and reconnect with wellness in our life. Go to braveheartworkshops.com. Join me for weekly Zoom connections on Facebook at facebook.com Braveheart Workshops. Thanks so much for joining the show, and we look forward to seeing you on